I think. Like I said, I love this because I do know you all and I don't get to see you enough in person. So even just seeing your faces on a screen is amazing. And we're going to, oh, there's Christina.
Can I ask on your phone?
Sure. Can you say hi to Suzanne?
Hi.
And so the fun part is now you get to meet each other because I already know you. Also, I think I'm going to see lots of you maybe soon in various places. So that's also going to be really fun. So before we share screens, while we still have the Brady Bunch view, at least for me, oh, we have Kelly and Susan now too. Good. All right. I think we have everybody. Why don't we start? And the thing that I don't actually know about Zoom is whether my Brady Bunch view is the same as yours. Does anybody know that? So I have Michelle Landrum in the top left. Is that the same for everybody? Do you all have Michelle in the top left?
Mine, I have Danielle in the top left. So it is different depending on when you logged in, I think.
Oh, goodness. All right. Okay. So we can't go by that. So I then get to call and I'll go by the Brady Bunch view. So why don't you say who you are and where you are, because that seems to be a really fun part of this as well, because one of the things that's great is we have people from all over the country and all kinds of different places. So Michelle, you're in the top left on my screen, so you get to go first. I guess you should say what your LDC role is too, I suppose.
Hey guys, I am Michelle Landrum and I work for Jefferson County Schools in Central Alabama. I am a content supervisor for English Language Arts secondary schools. So I serve 6th through 12th grades. I also serve as content, or not really content, but supervisor for library media specialists and foreign language teachers. So my main focus with LDC, of course, is 6th through 12 LDC coaching with the teachers. I serve as a local trainer here. That's me in a nutshell.
All righty. All right. Dawn, how about you? Don, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. Your turn.
I was just making sure it was this Don, not the other Don. I'm Don Kirkwood from North Carolina. I work with SREB. Right now, I'm currently working in Oklahoma City with a few counties there, North Carolina in 2 different cohorts, and also in Mississippi. I guess LDC has become my life.
You say that with a deep sigh.
Oh, I enjoy my life. I would not replace it for anything.
He says to his therapist, okay.
Monique, how about you?
Hi, I'm Monique Horton, and currently I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Next time I'm joining you guys, I may be in Tennessee. We'll see. And I work with LDC on the I3 project in LA, and with SREB working with Richland 2 in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm also working with some of the onboarding and facilitation of the virtual trainings.
All right. Daniel.
Hello, I'm Daniel. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I work for Southern Regional Education Board, and I help coordinate the literacy and LDC work for about, 300, 400 schools, over 1,000 teachers. So, a lot going on.
About 25 coaches, right?
Yeah, about 25 coaches. Them too, yes.
Yeah. All right, Beth.
Hi, I apologize if I sound a bit stopped up, but I'm just getting over a case of bronchitis, as is half the state of South Carolina right now. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, but I am here tonight in beautiful Beaufort, South Carolina, working with 3 schools. We began as a cohort, shrank to a smaller cohort. Now I'm a private consultant with these 3 schools. And that's my only work right now, but it's work. And I look forward to talking to all of you and getting your input to help me guide these teachers to realize that this is the only way to go with their instruction.
All right. Michelle McCabe.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm in New York. I live in Rye Brook and I work for Generation Ready. And my involvement with LDC is in the New York I3 project, but I also use LDC with my job embedded consultancy in schools that I work with around New York State and a few other states sort of around the area as well.
All right, Katie. Oh, we can't hear you. You're muted. Your computer, maybe, I think. Say something now. No. She's not muted here, right, Danielle? No. It might be your earbuds.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I can't really hear you guys. I'm Katie Clark. I work with American Reading Company. I live outside of Philadelphia, but currently this week I am in St. Petersburg, Florida, doing some work with some schools. I started the LDC project with LA back in September, and this is just my first year and first foray into LDC. So I'm still learning quite a bit.
All right, Karen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen, and I'm outside of Chicago in Crown Point, Indiana. And Katie, I don't think it matters how long you've been working with it. You're still learning like nonstop. So I continue to learn, luckily with more schools this year, and in LAUSD for LDC on the I3 grant, and then also with SREB in North Carolina. And virtual and in person are both great experiences. Learning a lot. Thank you.
All right, Christina, are you?
Yes, hi. Christina, I live in Newark, New Jersey, and I work for Generation Ready in New York City, and my son is very active. He's always part of these Zoom chats. You'll get used to him. Caleb. And I've been doing LDC work for almost a year and a half.
All right, Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan. I'm from Massachusetts, but I work with an awesome New York City team working with IT virtual coaching and synchronous coaching with 7 schools in New York City. Right now I'm in Western Mass because I do a lot of job embedded work in schools. I am new at this and I'm eating up every single thing I can get to try to get better. It's super challenging and I have been brought to tears, but then the next minute I'm like, let me back in there. I need to do it again. And so I'm just excited about this work. And the other thing I want to say is I'm in the process, we are all in the I3 group in the process of getting coach certification, which is a different kind of challenge. And so I'm learning how to create modules and the instructional ladder. Woo, I can't wait. That has been a challenge for me. So I am so excited about this. So that's me. Thank you.
Okay. Kelly.
I'm Kelly Philbeck, and I'm in Richmond, Kentucky. I've been working with LDC since 2010, starting as a teacher, then as a building coach, and then in the past few years I've provided statewide support for Kentucky. So LDC, much like Dawn, has been my life, and it's been a very happy life. This year I inherited another position, so it's half of my life this year, and so I'm not nearly as happy. So I'm glad to be here with you all because it's my favorite thing.
All right, Christine.
Okay, I am Christine Del Negro. I am a coach for Generation Ready, and I work with LDC in the I3 grant program in New York City. And this is my second school year doing it, and I love the work. And I think my favorite thing is just the big aha moments that teachers have. And I had a really great Zoom today with the PLC, and the thinking and the conversations was just incredible. And I love being a part of it, and I love seeing the impact that it has on teachers and their students.
Okay.
I just can echo what Michelle Landrum said. We are content area supervisor coaches, and we are working with our third cohort now. We've brought on 3 different groups, so we've now got all of our schools in our district in the secondary up and running, and we are working to use the LDC courses, the online courses, and we're blending the work because we're large and there are 4 of us coaches, and so we are utilizing those online courses to support us in figuring out how to support our teachers in a deeper way. And so we've spent a lot of today planning Google Hangouts and looking at what specific pieces of the courses we're assigning to teachers and working through Google Classroom, putting in assignments. So we're really excited about how we can use the courses to support our folks.
Okay, Mary, how about you?
I'm going to have to apologize. I just got connected. My computer started doing updates in the middle, and for whatever reason it froze. And
there you go.
So just repeat what am I supposed to talk about?
Who are you and where?
And then she froze. Who are you and where are you currently residing, and what is your role with LDC?
Okay. I'm Mary Keaton. I currently live in Winter Haven, Florida. It's about 70 degrees today, so I'm very, very happy. With LDC, I actually am an executive coach with the American Reading Company, much like Katie. And I do coaching with LDC with some schools in California.
Might be my computer. Aha. Might not be your computer at all.
No, it was mine.
All right, so go ahead. Where are you? Are you in Florida now?
I'm in Florida.
And where do you work?
I work with the American Reading Company as an executive coach, and I work with some LDC schools in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Oh, Suzanne, I can hear you. Yeah.
I tell you guys who she is. She is the content area supervisor for Jefferson County science teacher. She works here with Angela and with me, and she is the science extraordinaire for our department, and she's also a local coach with the 2 of us. So she serves all of the secondary Jefferson County schools.
All right. So you can see that we have people. Can you all hear me? I'm having trouble with my connection too, it seems like.
We can hear you, Suzanne, when you're talking earlier.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear that occur now? So I don't want to. Can you? I can't tell if I'm connected, and I can't see for some reason the screen has disappeared, which is awesome.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
But you can. I can hear you, Danielle.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Then we're good.
Okay. So you can see that we have people from all over who are doing all kinds of different things with LDC, and I already have lots of things that I want to share with some of you based on what you said. Like, for example, for the Jeffco, Alabama people, I have a bunch of things that we might want to talk about later. But anyway, we're here to talk about skills lists and ladders and what happens in skills lists and ladders. And so I'm assuming that you all have reviewed where we are in the blocks, and I want to share my screen, but I'm not able to do that right now. Do
you want me to share my?
I think you're going to have to share your screen, Danielle, while I try to figure out what's going on with my Zoom account, because it's not. I didn't even see your faces; like you're all gone. So the thing that we do, as you are familiar, because we did this last time together, is we use the syllabus as the anchor. So the syllabus has all the information that you'll need in it. It has the agendas. It has the resource links for everything. It has the schedules for the protocols that we'll use in each of the meetings. And it has contact information for each of you under the resources section. So if you need to be in touch with each other, all of the information is in the syllabus. So the syllabus is really our anchor and our base. So we're going to use that. I have to find the way to see you all, and I'm not able to see you at the moment. So Danielle, can you give an overview of where we are in the agenda and just talk about the tabs and then talk about the virtual facilitation doc while I try to get back into the screen?
Yes.
Oh, there I am.
Yep. You're good? Okay.
Phew. That was weird.
So what I have on my screen right now, starting on page 2, gives the overall kind of week by week schedule that we have going on, as Suzanne was stating. And then we'll have an ongoing PLC protocol that she mentioned. But if you'll scroll down to look at page 3, if you're pulling this up on your own screen, you'll see that we have a list of pairs that we've partnered you up with. So for example, Christine and Dawn would be partners, so it's cross. And we have a little bit of a different structure with our intro meeting agenda today. So this is starting on page 3 into page 4. But one of the things that we always recommend while we're in a Zoom working together is that you have the materials ready on your computer as well, open up in separate tabs. So you'll see that I have a number of tabs open here. One of it being the syllabus itself that I have open on the screen. I also have the our Teach Teams group that shows our learning plan so that we can readily go in and out of our discussions that we've posted each week. We also recommend that you have your LDC Core Tools tab open, because that way you'll have quick access to all of the Learn content that we are discussing in the Develop a Plan course, as well as some of the great resources and curricular items that we have in our library and things that we're sharing in terms of even our collection that we are all sharing our module together as a group can be found in your Shared With Me library now. So you'll see that you have that Deep Dive 2 Develop a Plan where you guys have started to add your individual tasks to, and modules. And then the other one that we have open for you tonight is, obviously we always go with our teacher competencies to have our teacher competencies open. That way we can reference those very quickly. And then the other document that we'll talk about very briefly is our feedback partners. We're going to do it a little bit different for this deep dive this time around, but you will be signing up with your partner to present at one of these sessions in the next 5 weeks. So I'll turn that back over to Suzanne.
Give it back to me.
Yep. Do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to just keep sharing? Okay.
Can you give me back the screen?
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully tonight we talk, well, at least certainly I talk more than I will on the other meetings. That would be the goal. But a few things I want to point out is, obviously we've already had some of the tech challenges that you'll face when you do virtual facilitation. And some of you who do it already, like Monique and Karen, I can see are already laughing because it happens all the time, which is, and so one of the things to really consider is building your own virtual facilitation skills. So we have this document here that's a starter for different types of virtual facilitation. So we'll be adding to this as we go through the course. We've built these over the course of the last 8 months with lots of ideas and resources for you in terms of ways to facilitate and what kinds of virtual facilitation work best. So this is a resource that you can use. There's a lot of considerations, and one of the reasons that I'm having trouble, and I know tonight, is that I have too many tabs open on my computer. And because my computer is running too many tabs, particularly in Chrome, it sort of makes it hard for internet. So that's something to watch. The other thing I will say also, just so you know, is that if you have messages that pop up, like calendar reminders and iMessages, like if you get a text message, for example, on your computer, if you don't turn those off, they do pop up during meetings. So just something to consider if there are things you think you wouldn't want people to see. And that has happened to me before too, by the way. The other day, my kids text me some stuff that it was like, really? This is the kind of stuff I'm sharing at work? I'm not sure this is quite right. So that's something to consider. The other thing to think about are how you set up the groups. So for example, lots of times people don't know about the different ways to see each other on virtual platforms, that there are different views. There's gallery views, like we call the Brady Bunch view. Sometimes teachers or people you all are all in different places, but if people are in the same room when they're working with you and they decide to use one computer, that becomes really challenging. So there are lots of things to think about when you facilitate virtually. Probably the most important, once you get past the logistics, is active engagement. And so we're going to do a bunch of stuff throughout this course, sort of active engagement strategies, because when you're virtual, it's just different. You can't turn and talk to somebody. We're not in the same room. So how do we create some kind of dialogue virtually, given the limited amount of time that I have there? The second thing I will say too is that there's something about building community when you're working with a virtual group. And because all of you have done a deep dive before, and most of you with me, I hope we're going to start. See, here comes a message from Barb. You can see that I'm already getting text messages that you can probably read on my screen. That we're going to start with, and Daniel, this was your remark in the Deep Dive 1, which lots of you here today were on in the same cohort, which was there's something about being virtual that causes people to be extraordinarily polite, which is really lovely, I have to say. The problem with being polite is that we don't get to sort of harder questions sometimes. So we're going to try, since I know you all, and since we're going to know each other pretty well, and some of you already do, we're going to try to get past polite more quickly this time so that we can ask critical and challenging questions of each other. That's my hope and goal. So I'm counting on you all to rise to that occasion, because that's where we really, I think, have some fun and have some sort of deeper conversations. So we're going to set up ways to do that both in our asynchronous conversations on Teams and also during this PLC. All right, so lots of things to consider related to the virtual nature of this arrangement that we have. But as with everything, the most important thing is actually to find out why you're here and why you care about this, that you want to get out of it. So what I'd like you to do now is in the chat, I'd like everybody to take a minute and think about, why are you here? What's your biggest priority? What's your goal for this course? And what is it that you want to get out of it? So just think for a minute and then write a sentence, sort of summarize your thinking about why you're here and what you want to get out of it. And make sure that when you're chatting, you have everyone at the top of your chat bar so that you're not sending an individual chat right now, you're sending it to everyone in the group. Do we have everybody? I have to admit the chats, I really love Zoom chats. And one of the reasons is that when you record a chat, you have a record of everybody's thinking. So as a facilitator, it's super useful to have people writing in chats.
The other great thing about the chat is when you download the chat log, it does give the timestamp so it can align and correlate with your recorded video. So that way, if you want to see a certain section, what people were saying during that time, you can see that on the chat log. So that's really, really helpful.
Yes, and spelling is overrated, so it's all good. All right, well, I'm excited. I think it looks like by a lot of the same things that you are, which is really about ladders. I think that as you have found, we spend a lot of time on tasks. And so helping people get to ladders and be able to explain the purpose of a ladder and how ladders work is what we're going to spend the next few weeks talking about. All right, so what I'd like you to do now with your partner, and I'm going to go back up to the partner list, is start a private chat with that person. And the question is, what is it that when you went back and reviewed 2.2, which I'll remind you, the sections that are in that block are really around the purpose of a ladder and the different components, some foundational principles about LDC instruction, which include things like responsive teaching, backward design, those kinds of things. And then some content around what makes skills list unique. So I'd like you to do with your partner is we're going to take about 2 minutes to do a private chat with your partner. What stood out for you? What was surprising to you? Or what was new in what you reviewed? And what are your wonderings about skills list in particular? So go ahead and set up a private chat. Here's the list of partners. If you don't know who your partner is, you can see it right here.
Kenneth isn't here. Does Juliana need a partner?
Juliana?
I can be your partner, Juliana.
Can you be Juliana's partner?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, great. What I'd like to ask is for someone to share just something that was new or surprising. If anyone has something they can share that you talked about or that you thought about related to skills lists.
I'll share. I don't know if I remember seeing the think last time in the examples under the in 2.2 on the practice section, and I really enjoyed trying to think through it and then reading those think alouds.
Okay. Who else?
For me, this is Mary. My big hurdle came in determining what was important enough to teach in the modules. What was important enough to add in the skills list, the ladder.
Okay. Who else? Anyone else talk about something that was new or surprising?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was new, but Juliana said that she really liked how 2.2 makes the connection between backward design and differentiated instruction to really support students at all levels of learning and scaffold their understanding and learning. So I thought that was really good.
Okay, so what we're going to do really during this time together is explore what makes a skills list and to some of the things you had, how to talk about skills lists, how to think about skills lists, how to choose what's going on them, why skills lists are actually the heart of, they're the connection between a task and instruction, and why it's the heart of a module. And that's going to be really the work we talk about. So the reminder for everyone is that LDC is an alignment system, right? The point of LDC is figuring out whether your things are aligned, whether the pieces of your puzzle are clicking together. And that's the work that we're doing, starting with a task and the standards in a task and the demands in a task. Now that you've done that work, what we're going to talk about is what? How do we line the other puzzle pieces in a module so that it flows and aligns from task way to the outcomes in student work? And so the question to always ask yourself when you're thinking about skills lists is the thinking work and the demands of the focus standards visible and articulated in the skills list? That's actually the question around skills lists. So because we always start with these competencies, I want to show you how the alignment works within the competencies. And I've written them here in a color-coded fashion because it's the same colors as we have on our competency document. So the first thing that we really focused on in the last deep dive was recognizing standards in tasks. That's competency 1A, right? The next big thing that teachers really work on is, okay, if I can recognize them, that's one thing. Can I use them to create tight and rigorous demand in an assignment? That's competency 2A. So what we're going to spend our time on in this course is the competency 3 skills. So after I've done that, I've used the focus standard to create demand in my prompt. The next question becomes, can I backward design skills that articulate those demands? Because that's what a skills list is. It's a sequential articulation of the skills that are listed in the standards and the prompt. So we'll spend a lot of time on this 3A in the first 2 classes. And then after that becomes the question of, well then, if those are the skills that are articulated from the standards, what's the instruction that I need to teach those skills? The point you just made around differentiation, Juliana, comes here in competency 3C, which is my students are always different from your students. So what does that mean for skills lists? It probably means that my skills list is always different from your skills list because my kids are different. And I'm going to use my knowledge of my kids to figure out what goes on that skills list. So this is where theoretical modules become problematic, right? Because if we don't have actual kids, we're making up theoretical kids, which is different than actual kids. And then, of course, we're going to look at feedback using rubric indicators to see if we have that 1A, 2A, 3A sequence lined up. And that's what the peer review rubric does. It helps us think about, is there a through line from 1A to 2A to 3A in terms of these competencies? So that's going to be what we talk about. So here you can see it. Here's our through line. All right. So that's that. And we'll spend a lot of time talking and thinking about that. We'll start that right away after we leave here today in our discussion in teams. So I want to move to what Danielle brought up, which is we're going to do feedback partners a little bit differently this time. So one of the things we've asked you to do is to put your tasks into the collection in Core Tools. And this is the time to basically workshop it. We're going to be workshopping it. And I'm actually going to put my new one in there. So I'm hoping that you all are going to give me some good feedback on it. So basically, what we're going to do each week, what you and your partner will do is put up a skills list and talk through the feedback and coaching around that skills list. And then we'll put up some instructional sequences of mini tasks and do the same. So every week, we're going to basically do think alouds with each other around, if here's a skills list, what is the feedback we give? And how and why do we give it? What criteria do we use to give it? And then how do we give it to the other person? So you have a couple resources for this. The first is, of course, you'll have it written out for you, and it'll be in our Teams assignments written out. And then the second is, in the resources, we have a protocol that we'll use to have those conversations every week. So it's not a surprise. It's not something you don't know about. And it is right here, skills list feedback protocol. So that sort of lays out how we'll talk about the skills. What you will need to do, though, is to have a conversation with your partner prior to your date, because you're going to want to talk through some of the skills list structures together before the class where you are the presenter. Okay? That's why the sign-up sheet is important, because you and partner can figure out when you want to do this. And that way you just experience it one time, and we'll have 2 people do that each time. And really about 5 to 7 minutes long, right? We're not doing a whole lot more than that. So it's gonna be fun, I swear. I promise. Even though it may not seem like it right now. But I think it's gonna be fun. All right. So that's what we're going to do with feedback. The goal of this is for you to take the task that you've really worked on really deeply and you've had reviewed, I hope, at least once and probably a couple times. And maybe you've had that done with your ladder, but to really flush out your ladder. So by the end of this, you can have confidence in submitting your whole module for peer review. Or for review, if you've already done that and you're doing revisions, you'll have a little bit more support and help, so that by the end of this, we want you to get those badges. I know a bunch of you are working on certification, and Susan, you mentioned it in your opening, and Christina, you mentioned it in your team's post, I noticed. So our goal is that we're supporting you in getting those badges, and what those badges represent is that you have ways of thinking and talking about how skills lists and ladders work, why they work, so that you can support teachers in building their own. All right, so I'm going to open it up for questions now and see what you've got. You have questions. Let's hear them. We'll look at the chat and see. Okay, so a lot of you have signed up. There's a few spots open. So if you haven't signed up, for example, nobody apparently wants to go next week. Go figure. So if you're slow on the draw, you're going to end up in that next week slot. Hate to tell you.
I have a valid excuse. I'm moving next week, so you know.
Right.
Otherwise, I probably would have tried to do that. But yeah, no.
Don, you went first last time. You might end up first this time, Don. Oh, we're going to squeeze some in. People are going to squeeze into later dates just to avoid it. That's awesome.
Well, poor Juliana, she can't really put in if Kenneth is going to be her partner or not. So,
all right. So we'll put Juliana in here because she's being unfairly distributed.
Yes.
Okay. Christine, hurry up, he says. All right. Does that mean Christine and Don are going next time? Good. All right. If you are the pair that is going next week, I'll reach out to you privately to answer questions and help you set things up. So, like I said, we're just going to do what we do, which is put something up and just talk through it using criteria and evidence and indicators. So another thing to review, actually, that's not on here, if you haven't reviewed it recently, is the peer review rubric, particularly the indicators around the skills list. So take a look at that. And then the second thing I want to point out on the protocol, I've lost the order of my tabs here, is in the ladder pitfall checklist. In the first 2 sessions, we're really going to be focusing on these numbers 1 through 4. So that's what we'll use in the conversation. So you'll want to review those pitfalls in 1 through 4. Okay, so other questions, other things that you're wondering before we, just even logistically, before we really get started?
Suzanne, where are the all of the documents that you're accessing? Are they in the? I didn't see them in the resources on Teach. Am I just not seeing them, or are they someplace else?
They're here in the syllabus. So everything is linked here in the syllabus.
And where's the syllabus? I'm just not.
Okay, there's a link in the chat.
Okay.
And then if you don't have, is it not linked in Teach? Is that the problem?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't think we haven't added it yet. I don't think. It did come in Abby's. Abby Hammer sent out the welcome email, so that should be in there. But we can definitely make sure that it's on our Teach groups resources just to make sure. But thanks for pointing that out. We'll make sure that that's there so you have extra access. And just in case, sometimes if you join the chat later, sometimes the earlier chats don't show up. So I did post the link there one more time for you to have.
Are you going to tell us which instructional ladder we're going to be looking at? Did you say that, or will we find one to discuss? Or
so the one you should discuss is your own.
Oh dear God! Okay. But that's so much harder. Okay, so we'll discuss our own then. Okay.
Yeah.
So Suzanne, we're going to discuss both of them, or we just choose one between the two of us?
One between the two of you.
Okay.
Yeah. It's scary, I know, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. We're all nice and we're all trying to learn something. At least I'm trying to learn something. I know everyone here is trying to learn something. So, and I don't know who said it. I can't remember at the moment, but like this is just a learning journey. Literally every conversation I have with any one of you, I come away with something new. So to me, that's actually the exciting part of these sessions is adding that, which does raise something I want to bring up, which is note taking. So think about where you're taking notes. You may have many note-taking places. You may have your LDC course notes that you've started long ago that you add to. But one of the things that I really recommend is having a way to differentiate your notes between your tasks, your skills list, and your instructional sequence. And the reason for that is a lot of your notes are things you'll use with teachers, to be honest, because you'll have the same, I mean, you're noticing the same stuff teachers notice all the time. So if you have it organized in that way, it can become a reference for you so that when you're giving feedback or you're talking to people, you have a way to go back to quickly find that. So if you want to start a skills list note section for what we do here, that might be a way to do it. Okay, so are there other logistical questions or any other things you're worried about?
Suzanne, I have a question. When we're talking about the skills ladder, we're talking about the skills ladder, not the instructional ladder? Like we're just identifying the specific skills, or do we want the instruction that goes with it?
So let's talk about terminology. That's a really good point. So here's the terms we're going to use. We're going to use skills list, which is just the list of skills. We're going to use instructional sequence, which is the sequence of mini tasks.
Okay.
And then the two of those together is what we call the instructional ladder. The skills list plus the instructional sequence is the ladder. So that just to clarify, that's the way I'll talk about it during this course. So the skills list is literally the list of skills.
Which may or may not be in the order that you eventually put them in. I mean, obviously you're going to go for that, but.
Yeah, no, they may not be.
Okay.
I mean, in a lot of cases, to be honest, this picked one that doesn't have a skills list, of course. In a lot of cases, you may be sorting out skills and moving them around to create clusters, for example, right? Particularly if you're in science and social studies and your clusters maybe have different names than ELA clusters, for example. right? So doing that sorting of skills is part of, is anybody, you remember the old list group label strategy that you use, right? So you list them out and then you group them up and then you label them, and that's a skills list. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, other final questions? Danielle, you're Juliana's translator, by the way, at the moment. All right, so to take us out for today, to ride us out, yeah, Karen, you're right. It does throw people off. We throw terms around all the time, right? Okay, so a final whip. I'm not sure what your takeaway might be from today. It's a lot of logistical information. So think about summarizing or gist term that you can put into our chat. It can include something that you're excited or interested about. So for next time, check Teams. This homework protocol will be in Teams. We're going to follow the same protocol that we did last time, identifying 2, not 3, critical moments from the content and selecting an example from that content that you would use to help teachers learn a point, or to make a point, or to use as an example that you would work through as a learning experience with teachers. And then responding to colleagues, of course, and try to read the posts by Wednesday night. For next week, there's a slight addition, which you may already have done this, so that's okay, is in 231, there's a do now, which is basically responding to your own prompt, writing your own answer. And it takes you through a process of figuring out what skills you used to answer your own prompt. So before next week, do that do now. In other words, answer your own prompt, see if you can answer it like the kids will answer it, and see if you can identify the skills that you used to answer that prompt. Okay? You'll find it in 231. It's the first do now, and it looks like this right here at the bottom of this page here.
So 231 is actually learn, just to make sure that we're no.
Yeah, I should say that. That's right. That's right. So whatever your response is, whether you write a paragraph or you end up with a couple, bring that next week. And actually, a final reminder, Danielle pointed this out at the beginning of the session. I was having tech challenges. You do want to have these tabs open, and in particular, I'm adding this differently actually, is you want to have a tab open to the Learn, but you also want to have a tab open to your module or your work, because I'm going to be asking each of you to share your screens. So if you have that already pulled up and you want to share it or ask a question about it and you're going to share it, that way you'll already have it open. So that way we can do that pretty quickly and share screens back and forth as we go. All right, sound good? We're gonna be off and running, and it's quick, it's so quick. We don't have a lot of time, so we're gonna dive right in. All right, everybody, we're over. I apologize, 3 minutes over, and all the things happened with everyone, which is tech challenges, logistical questions, where do I find what? And so if you do have questions in between, of course, post them on Teams, because I'm sure other people have the same questions, and we'll be able to all figure out the answer. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.